Welcome everyone today for our first in a series of Cloud Talk, where we're going to focus on speaking about Oracle Cloud, but from the perspective of an ISV. I want to share with you some updates today, and hopefully you'll find this a very valuable session. We'll look forward to seeing you in future activities as well. We can go to the next slide, please, Kathy. We will actually be joined by our Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Development team today. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of Oracle Safe Harbor statements, as we will actually be sharing rather in depth some good information, both as far as some recent announcements, as well as some future roadmap, again, around features that we feel will be important to our audience today. Next slide. So what we'll be covering today is I'll speak briefly around more of the business side of why ISVs are choosing the Oracle Cloud. I'll be joined by Farouk from our OCI development team to talk about some of the technical differentiators of Oracle Cloud and why those are important to you as a partner. Most importantly, and I'm actually pleased that we'll be joined by one of our strategic partners, Workforce Software, where Kevin Haus will actually do a bit of a Q&A with me and answer some questions that we think will be pertinent and interesting to you, as an ISV partner in a similar situation around some of the benefits of what you could see as well in working with Oracle. And then, as we mentioned, we'll look at the questions and answers that we get through the Zoom tool and answer as many of those as we're actually able to. Next slide, please. So if we think about today, what some of our ISVs are seeing and the challenges that they're telling us they're experiencing, they're different than sometimes our end users. And there's a few of them that I'd like to highlight, and we'll talk a little bit about how we address these as we go on in the call. The first is the concept of rapid customer adoption. In the cloud, our customers are much more likely to expect features from us on a quarterly, maybe even a monthly basis, versus some of the long cycles we used to experience in the on-prem world of yearly or every other year major updates. So the cloud is something that, if we do this right, we give you the platform to be able to evolve and expand the features of your product as you address your customer needs. We also know that we're all looking for additional areas in terms of revenue growth in the opportunities. Most people today, if they're buying and looking for a new software solution or even DevOps tools, security products, they're looking for them to be delivered to them via the cloud, or at least run in and support a cloud deployment model. So the revenue opportunity and the additional markets that we can go into are greatly accelerated with the cloud adoption. It's nice to have the top line growth, but we also know everyone's still looking to the cost reduction aspect of what the cloud can deliver as well. We hear from a lot of our partners that they can spend as much as 20 to 30% of their cost of sales in terms of being able to have to spend that as a COGS to deliver their cloud platform. As a result, if we can say they partner, say 30%, that's a material bottom line impact and a positive result to your shareholders and to your investors. More importantly, as we get into some other areas, obviously customer satisfaction is critical, so ensuring that you pick the right platform, for the performance and the scalability, and of course, the data protection and the security aspect of it is critical. Your application is your business. Picking the wrong cloud platform is not an area that you actually want to find yourself in. So partnering with a leader is exactly what we're here to show you and talk about today. If we could go to the next slide. I won't go massively in depth into our cloud platform. And again, today's cloud talk is about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, but I do want to share kind of the three tiers that we actually talk about as far as what we deliver. Of course, there at the bottom are some of the core services that every partner is going to need to take advantage of. You're going to need compute, network, and storage. And Farouk will share some great updates and performance characteristics, of our cloud platform. And I'll talk a little bit about some of those in my next slide. Of course, what's very interesting and exciting is the Oracle Autonomous Database. Obviously, a self-driving, self-repairing, self-securing, self-tuning product that obviously is very important to our partners. Given this is your application, you are now in the cloud managing the database. These are all things that are very important to you and how you deliver your product. As we move up the stack into some of what people would call more of the platform as a service layer, we have obviously the tools that you're going to need as well, whether it's modern application development tools, how you integrate, with Oracle and non-Oracle products, analytics, data warehousing, business intelligence, and of course the security products to deliver your product. And then at the top, I do want to spend just a second here and talk about the software as a service layer. And I think there's two very important elements to this. First of all is the Oracle component of it. Oracle is a leading SaaS provider as far as what we deliver around ERP, supply chain, human capital, customer experience, and of course our industry-leading products out of our global business units. These are products that actually offer our partners a great opportunity to integrate and expand their markets by partnering with Oracle to expand and extend the solutions that we actually offer by adding your technology to them as well. We'll actually talk about that when we spend a few minutes with Kevin here at the end. Of course, what's very important is all of you, our partners, also offering your applications on top of the Oracle Cloud Platform. And we picked just a few here, but again, we see everything from leading business application vendors like Workforce or Manhattan Associates, as well as Vertex, security providers such as McAfee, and even someone like Altar that does high performance computing and software simulation applications. We really want to make sure that we offer all of our customers and promote your solutions, as being a virtual and vital component of the Oracle stack. Next slide, please. If we kind of just spend a moment and we talk about some of the benefits of what the Oracle platform delivers to you, actually I'll just highlight a few of these. I won't go through them all. I'll let you kind of read them, but I do want to hit a few. Obviously, we highlighted and talked about the price performance advantage. Not only do we provide a more performant solution to you, we actually provide you a more cost-effective solution as well. We see it and we experience it time and time again with our partners. We'll actually share a Cisco story here in a little bit around what they've seen in this area. Again, you as the platform provider or the application provider actually have all of these benefits accrue directly to you. So they're very important, that again, you're actually picking an enterprise class platform. Enterprise SLAs, I think, are something that aren't talked about enough. Clearly, again, as the application provider yourself, you must deliver SLAs to your customer. And you can only be as good as the platform that you pick and run on. A lot of people will give you availability SLAs. Can you use the platform? But in that case, sometimes it's not actually going into the performance of it. Is it performing as expected? Or even the manageability of it. Can I actually expand my environment, so that I can meet my customer demand? Oracle is the only vendor that will go in and give you availability, manageability, and performance SLAs that you can count on and bank on as far as what you do and provide to your customers. I did highlight autonomous database earlier, and we talk about all of the security types of benefits. But one that kind of gets overlooked a little bit, is the ability to automate, and redeploy administrative resources elsewhere in your company. Again, you as the software provider have the database administration yourself now versus it being on-prem with your customers. So anything that you can save here as far as not having, the army of DBAs you might have, can actually accrue again to your bottom line and help your results. I do want to highlight the cloud deployment flexibility. We have the ability to run Oracle on-premise, on the Oracle Cloud, at Cloud at Customer, a feature that allows our customers to put the actual Oracle Cloud behind their firewall. And of course, Oracle being the most open cloud vendor, even though most people I don't think actually think about that today, you can actually run Oracle database, on our public cloud, as well as our competitors as well. So, a very safe feature for you in terms of the ability, to not get locked into one supplier. I talk about our enterprise customer base maybe for two reasons. One, again, we talked about us as a SaaS provider. It shows the impact of the people that you can actually market and sell your products to if you integrate with us. But if you think of Oracle being the largest SaaS provider in the world, that's why we've built our Oracle Cloud infrastructure, our database, our platform as a service, is to support our customers as well. If we can support, our workloads, we're confident that we can actually offer the same platform and deliver on what your needs are as well. And lastly, just the ease of purchase. We know it's hard sometimes to decide where you want to run your product. You're going to run in multiple data centers in multiple parts of the world. You might not know how to size your product right at all times. So what Oracle actually does is gives you an option called universal credits. You don't have to size your product. You don't have to pick which services and how much of them you're buying. You don't have to price it different in different data centers. You buy a universal credit and you can use that for any of our products. You can use it in any mix. You can use it in any data center. And as we roll new products out, you can even leverage those without having to recontract with us as well. Truly the easiest purchasing cloud option in the markets today. And of course, if you're an existing Oracle partner, we have great incentives so that you can do BYOL, of your products and run them in the cloud as well. And we'd love to share more and talk with you about that as well. If we can go to the next slide. A couple more things that I'd like to highlight here. Just real quickly, some of the cloud momentum and adoption that we're actually seeing. We've now got over 200,000 customers using Oracle products in the cloud. We'll have 36 data centers by the end of 2020, which will be more than any other cloud provider, any other public cloud provider. And that actually is supporting customers in 70 different countries. We're seeing over 5% weekly growth in customer and partner consumption in our cloud. Another stat that's not on here is we're seeing, on average, 150% growth in the production deployment of ISV applications. I think that one's important because, as I mentioned earlier, no better way to show success in the fact that the trust we're getting, from our partners by actually running their live customers in our cloud. And of course, as I mentioned, you can get all of this. The only thing you have to do is pay less than you're paying some of your other cloud providers today. And again, 30% is easily achieved by most of our partners as they actually switch over and run in the Oracle Cloud. I do want to highlight a couple of other things quickly here before I bring on Farouk. If we can go to the next slide. There's some other things that Oracle is rolling out that I think are very important as well. And one of them I'll just highlight on is the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. We've actually created and rolled out last year a transactional marketplace where for the first time ever, we actually will sell third-party products to our customers. In our marketplace, you have the ability to publish your images. They can be free images that you want to use as trials for your customers. They can be BYOL, to where the customer transacts the actual purchasing with you, or you can do paid listings to where the customer can buy these products of yours directly through Oracle, and then they can very easily click to deploy them in their environment as well. And then, of course, Oracle remits the funds back to you. It's the first time Oracle has ever done this. And again, it's another great opportunity to get access into the Oracle customer base and to get access to the Oracle sellers to be interested and motivated in promoting a third-party product. So if we talk about, in the next slide, some of the resources just at a high level, so that, again, we stay on track here, some of what Oracle provides you, to ensure that, we can help you be successful in the cloud. On the next slide, please. We actually have the Oracle Partner Network, which I think is going to be something that a lot of partners that are on this call may already be part of today. And in particular, we've recently modernized it to really be a cloud-first program. We have a cloud build track, so that's for partners that own IP or software that either want to run on or integrate with the Oracle Cloud. This program will give you a lot of great benefits in terms of helping you get enabled and up to speed and in production quickly. It will help you market and promote your solution. And then, as we've talked about, via things such as the Cloud Marketplace and others, will actually even then help you sell your solution as well. If we go to the next slide, please. Let's just highlight again a couple of some of the resources that we have. And I like to break them down in the technical, the commercial, and the go-to-market piece. We have a lot of people in this organization that are focused on working just with companies such as yourself, people that are writing software that they're selling commercially to multiple end users, in multiple geographies, industries, and have some very demanding needs in terms of performance and security. We have the ability to work with you in terms of helping your staff get enabled and up to speed with things like hand-on workshops and labs, providing the environments for you to evaluate, develop, and test your product. And then, of course, getting direct access to the Oracle Cloud experts that you need to optimize your product running in the cloud as well. If we shift to the commercial side, we've talked about, the ease of purchasing cloud so that you can obviously price it into your product if needed around our Oracle Universal Credit model. We talked about the license mobility piece, whether you want to support your customers on-prem, in the cloud, or in a hybrid model. And of course, we're going to work with you and offer you the models to do business with you the way you want to. If you want to be the cloud provider and aggregate pricing and terms and everything into your contracts and sell an as-a-service offering, we can do that. If you want to meet in the market and just support the Oracle Cloud and deploy into customer cloud environments, we have the ability to work with you in that as well. Whichever way you want to go to market, Oracle has a solution, and I kind of would challenge you to talk to us and learn of a new, easier to work with Oracle in that point of view as well. And on the go-to-market side, probably one of the most important things we can do, again, leveraging our 430,000 enterprise customers globally, our tens of thousands of sales forces, is how do we promote your product? Clearly, we'll give you branding and information that you can use to promote on your sites and your collateral. We have our cloud marketplace. We promote your solution very heavily internal to the Oracle sellers so they know which partners they can work with, bring into their accounts that are trusted and safe to work with. And then all of the things that you would expect around how do we announce and amplify your story out in the marketplace with things such as press releases, case studies, getting you into articles and other outbound communications to our customers to make them aware of it as well. So what I really kind of want to leave you with here is not only do we want to provide you the best technology, not only do we want to do it at the right price, but we also want to help ensure that we're not just impacting your bottom line, as far as cost reduction, but we're really helping you increase what you can do in terms of revenue growth and expansion as well. And I'll challenge at the end of this session some next steps that we can take together to prove that out to you in your very unique model. What I'd like to do now, before I bring on Farouk, is to actually run a quick video, let you hear from one of our partners, Cisco, where they've got some very impressive stats that they can share with you around what they've seen in terms of pricing and, more importantly, performance of their solution in the Oracle Cloud.
Tetration is a workload security platform. We protect workloads either running in the cloud or on-premise. There are healthcare customers, there are government customers, there are financial institutions where you and I bank our money or keep our money, highly regulated, security conscious, compliance conscious customers. And in these customers, what I see this common trend is they're moving to multi-cloud environments. They have to manage so many different devices. Securing them is a real big problem. And there are new vectors, attack vectors coming out every day. So there's a whole bunch of data points for them to manage. When we started off with Tetration, we had an on-premise offering. What we were looking for is another delivery model for our customers, and that was SaaS. And we started exploring different cloud providers. When we started off in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, we saw dramatic improvement over other cloud providers. The performance improvement was about 60 times as compared to the leading cloud providers. We got like steady 70-75% utilization on our CPUs as compared to 5 to 10% on other cloud providers. This allowed us to have a much more functional solution, reduced our cost down, and we could pass these cost savings to our customers. We are seeing our customers save up to 90% on the total cost of ownership running on Tetration on OCI as compared to on-prem Tetration. We use deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, this whole bag of algorithms and techniques have to run on a highly performant environment and infrastructure, and that's what we get out of OCI. The partnership with Oracle has been fantastic. This is why this whole magic is happening.
Great. Thank you. With that, I'd actually like to introduce Farouk Khan and have him talk to you about some of the highlights and exciting new features that you'll be seeing and experiencing with OCI. Farouk?
Thank you, David, for that really nice introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Farouk Khan. I'm a product director here at Oracle with a focus on ISV and SaaS. So naturally, this is a really great place for me to be. I'm going to walk you through some technical differentiators of why a lot of customers, but also specifically ISVs, choose Oracle Cloud for them to run their businesses on. So let's begin. So why does that happen? Well, one of the key reasons is performance. I'll go through this in a little bit, but generally in comparison to the other clouds, we outperform all of them when it comes to our infrastructure and how it's designed. Now, David went over the next one, which is around pricing. For me, pricing is a slightly bit different angle because we own our own hardware, we don't have to pay as much of the costs associated to if I had to go to an external vendor and source my hardware from there. Everything's made by us. It means that the costs that we save in doing that through ourselves can be passed on to you as a customer. Proven repeatable architectures. So we've done this before. That's the point of that. I have an architecture to show you later, but because we've done this before, it's been applied to many ISVs and they've been successful. We know how to do it. And in doing so with new ISVs that we work with, we'll be able to do the same thing. And you get confidence knowing that you're not the first and not an experiment in that sense. The final thing, and maybe a bit funny one, but it's enterprise workload migration. So what this means is because we spent so many years as a provider of software, as a database company, and what we're known for specifically, we've built up tools and processes to allow us to be able to migrate workloads from A to B very effectively. And all the headache, all the challenges that go with that, we've moved those aside and we've taken the tool and now pass that on to our customers. And anyone working in an enterprise, as you probably are, knows what a headache that can be. So on to performance in a bit more detail. So generally, when you look at the way we've architected the cloud and the infrastructure specifically, we tend to outperform all the other clouds. Why do we do that? Well, we firstly don't oversubscribe our resources. If you have 10 cores in your machine, you get 10 cores. There's no threaded processes there. It's as it is. So you already guarantee yourself predictable performance. It allows us then within the actual servers to be able to customize them, to add additional things, to put NVMe storage in there so you can get the kind of IO that you see in the table there, so that we can put strong network cards inside the boxes to allow us to do RDMA clustering, to allow us to give you low latency. So for those workloads where you need that guarantee, and the SLAs that you may have for your customers, you know that the performance is going to be there and you can be confident in passing that on to your customers as well. Now, I want to expand a bit more on the architecture. So the whole platform is built with security in mind. And if we take a look at the slide here, on the left, you generally get this kind of model when you look at other cloud providers. The compute servers for those providers, they have the virtualization layer attached locally to that server. Because of that, there's not only a performance hit, which again is another reason why our cloud overperforms in other ones against other ones, but also because that virtualization layer, be it KVM, be it Xen, Hyper-V, whatever the platform is, because it sits locally, it requires that cloud provider to have access into that box directly in order to troubleshoot anything that goes on. That opens up a security hole, because in having access to that, they also have access to see within the box itself and the other customer VMs that are running on there too. That, if you're looking at it from an enterprise perspective, doesn't give you necessarily the confidence that your data isn't being looked at in the same times as that's happening. It also means that your data could be exposed, but also if somebody were to gain access to that machine, they could also gain access to others within the cloud, and those bad actors could get access to a lot of data that you don't want them to have access to. What we did in comparison is we went with a different model. We took networking and the virtualization off box, which is what you see on the right here, and we left those separate so that we can manage that, meaning that we have zero access to those servers that run your data. We can't see your data, we can't access your data. For anything that needs to be troubleshooted with that box physically, let's say, we can do that through the box you see on the bottom right there. So it gives you more confidence from a security point of view. The architecture you have within our cloud is going to allow you to be able to run your business without fear of your data being sniffed or anything like that. Now, I mentioned architecture, and here's an example of an architecture that you can look at. So this is an architecture that has been applied in production. Now, if we work with you and get the pleasure of doing so, yours may not look exactly like this. But again, the point of me showing you this is, as I said before, this is an architecture and a discussion we've had before. You know, this is something that we've done before, and you can have the confidence knowing that you won't be the first. So if we look at some highlights of this, on the left-hand side, the ISV data center, that's you. That's where you're going to access this environment. You do so over Fast Connect, which, like AWS Direct Connect, Azure Express Route, is a dedicated secure line at high speed that allows you to gain access to the environment. It's typically how our other ISVs connect into the platform. Along with that, you then see on the far right the customers, your end customers. Now, they're accessing over VPN in this case. That could also be Fast Connect too. It really is up to you and them as to what you determine, but the platform enables both. They connect from the right into their particular virtual cloud network. So you see three horizontal boxes there. The top one, the middle one, and the bottom one are all separate. So for customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and so on and so forth. Each of those is isolated. It's its own individual environment with its own version of your application that's running. So it gives you a great advantage there. You can provide that application from the same code base, make customizable changes should customer 1 want something that customer 2 and 3 do not, and allow you to keep isolation between all of them. So from a security point of view and a manageability point of view, you have full control over the platform. With that also in mind, there are additional things on top of that that you can also do. Within those compartments, you can associate budgets to them. Now, cost is a big worry for ISVs, and we know that. So being able to attach a budget to these allows you to have more control over the spend of those individual customers. Should a customer be reaching the higher end of that spend, you get an alert through your email to let you know that. You then have the determination of, okay, do we increase that? Is this something abnormal and we need to investigate more? It just gives you that visibility. And visibility is key when you're working with a cloud provider. And with others, you may not always get that. The second thing you can do is you can associate policy to these, IAM policies. So you can control, firstly, not only who's accessing this from your work environment and also from the customers, but also you can go beyond that and do something kind of cool now, which is add tagging to those policies. So your policy of so-and-so person has access to do so-and-so thing becomes a tag that is associated to those compartments, and that allows you to save a bunch of time without having to write multiple policies as you onboard customers, and instead just adding tags onto each of those compartments that inherit those policies and those permissions. So that's a lot of flexibility and control built into the platform for you. Now, David mentioned this before, and I just want to quickly point this out one more time and just go one step further. So everybody should have an availability SLA. It's a given within a cloud platform. If they don't, then there's a problem. The performance and manageability are the two that we have that others don't. And being able to have those written down is a strong guarantee for you to offer to your customers and your SLAs to say, look, we can guarantee the performance or the uptime of this platform. That gives you a great reputation with your customers, but also you know the reputation that we have is solid because we've put this down on paper. Performance relates to network I/O and the I/O in terms of your storage, disk I/O specifically. Manageability relates to the control plane, the API uptime, and the availability of those APIs. If you don't have access to them, you can't do anything within the cloud, of course. So those are there to give you confidence that the platform will do what it says it will. And if it doesn't, Oracle will stand by that and give you any credit due as a result of that. but those are there, and we're the only one that does that. So it's a very important one for you when talking to your end customers. Now, David mentioned our goal of expanding to 36 regions by the end of the year. Now, the current pandemic may push some of those dates in some of those regions a bit further out, but the goal doesn't change. You know, the goal is always the goal. We want to expand, we want to grow across the world, and we want to offer new regions to you so that you can treat your customers with local presence and local resources for their business to be able to thrive. In turn, your business will. What I want to add to that is two things around partnerships. So if you look on the left there, the US, you see the Microsoft symbols. So we have a partnership with Azure where we have dedicated connections to their data centers and vice versa for those users that want to still run Microsoft workloads in their data centers, but also run Oracle workloads in Oracle data centers. Makes a lot of sense, right? So what you see on the left there, you see a US Gov region and a San Jose box, which is actually Phoenix. The dotted lines around it mean that those are planned regions that we're going to expand to. So we're going to add those two to what we already have there in Toronto and Ashburn. And then if you go all the way to the right, you'll see over there in Asia, we're also going to add one just below Seoul to give you further connectivity across the world. So this is one goal that we always have that's always going to advance. Reach your customers and give you the connectivity, give you the presence that's going to allow you to be able to target them and be more successful. The second one is around VMware. So we have a partnership with VMware that's going to allow you to deploy VMware on top of Oracle Cloud. Everybody knows the popularity of VMware. They also know the popularity of Oracle. So why not put the same two things into the same platform? So that's coming. It's coming around the end of May, June time. So not very long to wait for that one. So a quick look at our roadmap. What does it look like? Well, it looks pretty good, actually. So today we launched Flexible Cores. Flexible Cores is very cool. It is another way in our portfolio to give you choice. What it basically means is you have a slider within your control panel. That slider allows you to go from 1 to 64 virtual CPUs and resize your VM to suit the needs of your application. This takes you away from having to just use the cookie cutter templates that cloud providers often force you to use and give you more flexibility around what your applications specifically need versus you having to kind of force that into a template that's already predefined for you. If you look below, coming in the summer, you see that you can also now, or you will also be able to resize memory dynamically. So that allows you an additional level of flexibility. And that just means in the same way I can control my CPUs, I'll also have a slider to control the RAM inside those virtual machines as well. So that's an amazing amount of flexibility, and it just adds to the choices that you have when you deploy your applications within the Oracle Cloud. In the middle, we see Oracle Cloud Guard. Now, technology is continuing to advance. No matter what happens, technology is growing. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's also one that as it advances, as further devices become added to your portfolios, Internet of Things, AI, and so on and so forth, your attack surface becomes bigger. So the potential rate of exposure is higher. Because of that, it does mean that you may not necessarily always have visibility into the platform and often see all the potential holes that could be accessible by bad actors. CloudGuard is that holistic view of the entire platform. So it's going to scan and compare anomalies against the library of code that is continuously updated, and it's going to perform remediation against that. The remediation could be determined by you. It could be to stop something, it could be to destroy something, but the main point of it is to actually give you that eyes, become the shield in battle for you, that when you don't necessarily have the ability to monitor that environment or see everything, CloudGuard has your back, and CloudGuard is going to do that for you. There is a limited availability of CloudGuard right now, so any customers that are interested can contact us and we can actually provide you with access to it. The final two things on the right here are related to billing and tagging. So I mentioned this in the architecture slide. So in the last Flexera or RightScale report, it mentioned that advanced users of IT, of cloud specifically, their biggest concerns are cost and governance. So I put ISVs in that category of advanced users of cloud. And because of that, some of the stuff I mentioned around budgeting and reporting are things that we've tried to get ahead of, knowing this is a problem for enterprises because we are one, and offer to you. So we're just expanding that in Q3 of the financial year this year. So what we're doing is adding additional reporting and adding the ability to do per core quota limits, in addition to the reports and the alerts that I've already mentioned before. With that comes the ability to also add tagging in the way I described, tagging that is linked to policy, tag-based access control, but also we're expanding that to our container service within the platform too. So the roadmap looks very bright, and that's all I have to share with you right now. I just want to end by quickly saying thank you. I know that this current situation in the world has affected us in many different ways. One thing it's given us is maybe some more time, for our industry in particular, but you chose to take that time to spend with us today, and we really appreciate you doing that. So thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Farouk. Appreciate your time today. Let me take us into our third and final section of today's presentation. And I always like to say this, no offense to myself or Farouk, but my favorite parts of these types of sessions are always where we get to talk to some of our trusted partners, who are really partners and customers in this journey together. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Kevin Haus of Workforce Software today. Kevin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you could just take a few minutes, Kevin, and introduce yourself as well as Workforce Software for those who might not be familiar with your company.
Yeah, thank you. So Kevin Haus, VP of Global Alliances here at Workforce Software. And really, Workforce Software is kind of the provider of cloud workforce management solutions that really kind of adapt to an organization's workforce management requirements, no matter how unique a company's payrolls or labor regulations are, or schedules, or any other kind of self-service needs are. So from a best of breed perspective, we really can kind of handle any of those different needs. And our goal at the end of the day really is to make a customer's work easy for them.
Great. Thanks for that, Kevin. So let me ask you just a couple of questions. And first, if we could start off with, clearly, a lot of public cloud providers, lots of people you could have trusted to partner with. What were some of the reasons that you actually chose OCI as your cloud platform?
Yeah, well, as you know, I think we put you guys through the paces and kind of really testing everything out. First off, I think you said it earlier in the day, but like the partnership was a big element for us, and how well that the OCI team as well as our team, cloud infrastructure teams, were working together to really go through everything else. In today's world, those types of relationships really matter, and so I think that was a key element. And then when we did a lot of the different testing and a lot of the different pieces from where we originally had planned, and then through all the different pieces, we saw some of the different performance improvements, some of the scalability performance improvements, and really be able to take for what we do, our customers to the next level. We handle tons and millions of different transactions on a given time. And so being able to have that ability to really handle all of those demands in the most efficient and speed perspective. And, also in these types of times, the overall total cost of ownership, expecting significant benefits there as well.
Great. No, thanks for sharing that. And we're happy to go through the proverbial ringer with you. We understand, again, as I've said before in this meeting, the cloud provider is very important to you. You pick the wrong one, you're out of business. It's your reputation on the front line there. So we were happy to do it, and it was very exciting and great to work with you through that. So now that we're kind of past and through that part of it, what are some of the improvements that you're actually seeing in the customer experience side, as a result of moving to Oracle Cloud?
Yeah, so I think probably the two biggest things that we're either are starting to see or we're excited for that'll have the biggest impact for our customers. The first is the overall performance improvement. You know, I think you said it, and from all of our initial testing, it looks like, you know, we should be able to actually prove that part out, which is around that 30% performance improvement. So very excited around those sides. It really allows our customers to do and hit everything that they need to do in a given day. When you're talking about pay calculations or schedule improvements, you know, part of our application is really to optimize a customer schedule. So we really are doing millions of computations, and we need to do it in a matter of seconds. So you may think about time and attendance as, you know, well, it's just, you know, people clock in, clock out, and, you know, how hard can it really be? But it's, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're paying people correctly and people are showing up at the right time. So as we get into these types of performance improvements and be able to understand how customers need to run their day and have that impact on their day, those types of performance improvements are critical. Every second counts. So that's definitely the biggest thing that we're excited about. The second thing is we're a global company. And as we look at it, you know, the ability to start to roll out more and more in different regions, in different areas, and that the data centers, as you know, as Farouk was just talking about, very excited on being able to go in all those different countries, different locations. You know, depending on where our customers are in the world, you know, they have different requirements, and the regulations are consistently changing all the way across the board. So as we're starting off in Australia and moving throughout the rest of the world, you know, it's important to us to be able to, you know, obviously meet all the different requirements, but then also to exceed customer expectations in that regard.
Yeah, great. Wonderful to be able to impact the business in that way as well. You kind of said in your opening remarks, and let me ask one last question, if you'd let me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really around the partnering side of things. You know, clearly Oracle's got a human capital management product itself. We've even got some overlap, you know, as well. And some people might not necessarily think Oracle first when they think of, you know, how do I find someone that, you know, doesn't just provide me great technology, but actually helps me go to market as well. So maybe you could just share, you know, a few things, you know, from your side, you know, around how we've actually been able to, you know, to work together in that aspect as well.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's, you know, I think we kind of talk about it, and I think you even mentioned it. It's a very different Oracle from where we've worked with in the past. So partner friendly, and really it's about the focus of, you know, the true win-win at the end of the day. From all the different go-to-market stuff that we've done together already on, you know, creating that larger awareness for workforce software as a whole. And then when we look at really the executive support throughout Oracle and being able to open doors that we normally wouldn't be able to open, have the deeper conversations with the HCM field from, you know, top down, and really be able to start having those connections within and throughout Oracle. I'm a strong believer that what really gets, you know, stuff done across the board is relationships. You know, there's a lot of different companies that can do a lot of different things, but it's these types of relationships that, you know, Oracle is really leading the way on building out those types of partnerships and helping establish those relationships that are making the big difference. So when we start to say, okay, that's all great, Oracle and workforce software really getting together and becoming good friends, and, you know, you guys are getting along, that's great. But on what's probably even more important than that is that we're able to provide a true win-win for our customers, joint customers. You know, there's a natural fit to where Oracle has some of the best HCM, you know, products in the market, and you can deliver all the different pieces. But then you get into some certain areas where there's complexity and around scheduling and, you know, self-service or the time and attendance parts to where, you know, a customer may need something that's a little bit above and beyond what you guys currently offer today. And that's really where there's that perfect, you know, synergy there without using a corporate buzzword too much, but it really is that nice blend of how we can actually operate together. And everybody sees that, and at the end of the day, the customer actually wins, and that's what's important to us.
Great. Well, thank you, Kevin. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you taking your time today out of your busy schedule, to spend it with us. And more importantly, thank you for, your business and trusting us with, your application and, going to market with us as well. Nothing better that we could ask, and just greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much. And if we can go to the next slide, I will close this out. I'd like to again just thank Farouk and Kevin for joining me today. Hopefully you guys got some valuable information from them. Feel free to follow up, with myself or Farouk as needed, or again directly with your Oracle account teams. What I'd actually like to do is again, challenge you in a couple of next steps of what you can actually do with Oracle, to really see, the new Oracle, as I like to say it. First is think about the applications that you have today, and determine some applicable use cases, that you could actually leverage, what we talked about today to take advantage of it. Are you, migrating and improving your application to the cloud, new cloud application development, international expansion, lots of different things, we can work with you on. Come actually let us prove out to you what we've talked today around that kind of technical and architectural review. Take a look at it, pull the covers back, and make sure that everything you're hearing from us and some of the partners that we shared, with Workforce and Cisco, work for you as well. Do that, by, actually going ahead and migrating and testing your application. We've got the cloud environments, and more importantly, the technical resources and the experts, to sit there, roll up their sleeves and help you do it, as well. So that we can make this a very streamlined process. And as a result, once we do that as well, let us then do the business benefit analysis. It's great to get the performance. It's great to think about how you can expand, into international markets and such. But let us show you the cost savings and different things that can happen as a result as well. So again, think about use cases, review the technical architecture of Oracle Cloud, test it out, and then let us kind of review with you, how we can price it, to get those technical and cost benefits that you're thinking of as well. I really want to thank you for taking the time today. Hopefully you'll join us in future Cloud Tech Talks. The next one will be specifically dedicated to autonomous. Thank you again. Hope everybody is safe. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll speak again with you in the near future. Thank you.